We know that Wall Street has been betting on an economic recovery for the past few months. What we found out yesterday is that the consumer is not the gambling type. In fact, they're not even the spending type. Analysts expect this to be the worst back-to-school shopping season in over 10 years. And considering that the consumer makes up over 2/3 of the economy, the road to a recovery may be much bumpier than previously thought.
Sluggish back-to-school sales are creating first-day jitters of their own for retailers. Sales are down 7.7%, with the average family spending $46 less than last year.
Basically, what we just got here now is just like less supplies.
That means kids like Ariana Matter are having a lot less fun planning for the 6th grade.
How about these? These are on sale.
We asked the Matters to show us what they would have bought last year for a comparison. A look at these two carts tells the story. Last year, they would have walked out with $120 worth of supplies. This year, they're buying just $27 worth, a savings of $93. Something Mom Mary Jane has to explain.
I don't want to spend more than $20 on a backpack. And we'll do some shopping next time after the next payday, okay?
We're seeing parents be much more practical. We're seeing them really take price into account, and we're seeing them make bare bones decisions.
So what are the Matters going to buy on this trip? Not much.
So how'd we do here? Actually, not too good. I didn't really buy much.
Just a backpack, pencil case, glue sticks, and generic binders.
What would you have preferred? Different colors.
What would they have picked up on a bigger budget? Take a look. Another backpack, flashier supplies, and the biggest item, new clothes. Something they don't have to worry about this year.
I can tell what kind of style you like. You like the sparkly stuff, definitely not school uniform material.
Because in perhaps the biggest sign of these economic times, the parents at Ariana's school voted for school uniforms.
It is a whole lot cheaper.
And here's another sign of the economic times, Chris. Analysts are saying that less than half of Americans have finished their back-to-school shopping. We're going to be getting more details today out of Home Depot and Target. They'll be reporting earnings.
All right, we need those numbers. Bianna, thank you very much. And also, we need some perspective. So let's bring in two financial powerhouses. Mike Santoli of Barron's. He told us just a few weeks ago to keep our eye on back-to-school sales. So we'll see what it means to him. And Liz Ann Sonders, Chief Investment Strategist for Charles Schwab. Thank you to you both. Mr. Santoli, I tip my hat to you because the back-to-school sales seem to have become relevant. You pointed it out. What do you think?
You got to give it something like a C- in terms of grading it. Obviously, the consumer remains tight with a buck. The consumer is not going to lead us out of this recession. I think we already knew that, so it's not a terrible concern at this point. It does not harbor very well for holiday shopping season, but obviously the consumer remains constrained. Right?
And we'll see the numbers going forward as we get closer. You point out maybe it's weather keeping them from
Partially,
school.
July was not good for weather.
We'll see. All right, now obviously the real interest in the stock market that we see to the larger market, the economy, the job market. What do you see there, Liz Ann? What's your grade?
Well, I give it a B, which is probably going to be a shock to a lot of viewers. But the initial unemployment claims, the 4-week average, which is a weekly number, dropped by now over 100,000 from the peak. We've never still been in a recession when we've had that big a drop. That's a leading indicator. The unemployment rate, if I were grading that, that's probably still a D, but that's a lagging indicator. So the important thing is understanding what measure of jobs you're talking about.
Okay, so let me bounce it back to you for a grade with this. They are concerned, some economists, that jobless claims will push more foreclosures.
Yeah.
So what do you see there?
I mean, a B-. I'm very in Liz Ann's camp right here. I mean, the trend is correct. The trend is what we want to see, which is unemployment claims have peaked, and so therefore it should reduce the pressure over time on things like bank credit.
All right, so we are talking about the stock market as well as a function of the overall economy. Mike, stay with you. What grade do you give our stock market?
It's up 50% from a low, just about a B+. And I think if we stay above somewhere around 8,000, down at 9,000 or so right now, it will mean that the recovery story is still intact and we don't have to reevaluate yet.
So B as a buyer. You're B+ kind of signaling buyer. Is that buyer? You don't like that word, right?
I would not go in that direction right now.
Okay.
Not qualified.
All right. Liz Ann?
You know, again, as Mike said, a 50% rally, probably time for a little consolidation. I wouldn't make too much of yesterday's move. In fact, the irony is that the economic news out yesterday was actually better than expected, but I think the market was due for a breather after that big a run.
It did make some people alarmist yesterday.
Yeah, well, you know,
I believe you called me that yesterday.
Yeah, I think I did. I think I used that word.
Well, we did hear the biggest one-day drop since July 2nd.
Right.
We went right up from there. So.
Certainly, we're looking at a different window. We're saying 186-point drop. We used to talk about 200s, 300s on a regular basis. All right, so let's look broader again here. To finish this up, leading economic indicators. Tell us, what does that mean, and what does it mean to you?
Well, there are categories of indicators. The leading economic indicators are just that. They tend to move ahead of the economy. They're what I like to think of as the heads-up indicators. They give you a sign. We've had 3 consecutive months of rising leading indicators. That is an expansion signal for a lot of economists that say, okay, recession's over, we're now in recovery mode. So I would give that a B+, and I would continue to raise that grade if we get some more months of rising leading indicators. That's been a really good sign.
Do you share or do you diverge?
Absolutely. I mean, the leading indicators say what they say. Now, there's a chance of backsliding as we go ahead deeper into the year, but right now there's not a reason to believe that's necessarily going to happen.
Cautious optimism at the table, except for me. I'm an alarmist. Mike Santoli, Liz Ann Sonders, thank you very much. Appreciate it.